The United States is one of the nations where rivers often struggle with issues and decline. A key factor in this situation is the presence of dams, which transform floodplains into forms that are very different from what they used to be. In addition, there is wear and tear of the land, a decline in plant life along the riverbanks, and a reduction in the variety of living things both in and around the water. But you know what's even more troubling? Wildfires can worsen the situation, wiping out any remaining life close to the rivers. In Washington state, they have found a way to bring rivers back to life even after wildfires. There, biologists just introduced some beavers, and before long, life that had been absent for years started to return to the burned land. Are beavers helping to protect Washington? It sounds daring and even somewhat unusual, but that appears to be true. Let's explore how this situation unfolds. What is the first river that you think of when discussing waterway pollution in the United States? Naturally, it is the nation's primary waterway, the river linked to 40% of all the land in the continental U.S. The Mississippi, along with its vast system of tributaries. This will be our starting point for the video. You can see how much people affect the river by observing the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico. This area shows up for a significant part of the summer near Louisiana and is mainly formed from nitrates and phosphorus that enter the Mississippi River from farming, industry, and various sources of waste. However, there is more to consider, as ongoing human activity in the Mississippi River Basin contributes to the decline of genuine biodiversity hotspots, floodplain forests, and wetlands. These floodplain forests provide a safe haven and a food source for numerous species of birds, insects, fish, and various other animals. They are forests like any others. These are a unique type of forest that can be flooded by the Mississippi River or one of its branches. In such forests, you can discover an even greater variety of animal species, ranging from those not in danger of extinction to those that are safeguarded by people at all costs. The floodplain forests along the upper Mississippi host 180 different bird species during their nesting and migration periods. This is quite an impressive figure, especially considering it only includes birds. When you take into account all the various species, the total reaches into the thousands. Since the 1800s, individuals have been working to develop both the upper and lower Mississippi regions. In the upper region, nearly half of its floodplain forest cover has disappeared since that time. Nowadays, it is common to see trees that have become deadwood because of the changing conditions. In the lower Mississippi, which is home to many different types of plants and animals, forests cover only 30% of the land, based on a study from 2020. That sounds okay, right? Generally, it's better than in some other regions. However, this is considering that the valley was once entirely forested. What is both remarkable and sorrowful is that because of human actions, the shrinking of floodplain forests has turned the Mississippi and its branches into sources of flooding. Nearly every year, floods impact some section of the river, resulting in significant damage to both nature and communities. Now, let's turn our attention to Washington State. It might not be the first place that pops into your head when discussing river damage or the decline of biodiversity caused by human actions. The natural scenery appears untouched, and the rivers look nearly flawless, but that's merely a facade. In truth, human activity has also affected the waterways in this state. The Center for American Progress reports that over 46% of Washington State's rivers have been changed. When we look at the rivers by their size, we find that 68% of the larger rivers and 42% of the smaller streams and rivers have been modified. Here are some additional figures. In Washington State, a total of 10% of rivers face barriers that prevent them from flowing freely, primarily because of 751 sizable dams. Furthermore, 44% of rivers pass through areas that have been significantly changed or developed by people. Estimates suggest that before European settlers started to actively use the waterways in Washington State, riparian areas such as floodplain forests and wetlands made up about 40 to 50% of the land. Following this, there was a period of excessive cattle grazing along rivers and streams, along with the growth of agriculture, heavy resource extraction, and deforestation. This resulted in a reduction in the complexity of the waterways, along with the deterioration and disappearance of habitat quality and diversity in the surrounding areas. Currently, floodplain forests and wetlands account for just 2% of the land around the river. When situations are already tough, something unexpected can make them even harder: wildfires. In the year 2015, a blaze started near the Twisp River, which feeds into the Methau, and quickly expanded across an area of 11,100 acres. Reports from the site indicated that nature was severely affected. A fire destroys anything that shows even a hint of life. As a result, the Twisp River and its nearby areas lost a significant amount of their biodiversity. This is quite concerning, especially since the situation was already quite dire. Therefore, it's fair to say that the region surrounding the river experienced a double decline. Do you realize what truly aided in bringing back the completely ruined landscape? What can assist in bringing rivers back to their natural condition, even after suffering from both human interference and wildfires? Unexpectedly, it's the creatures that chew on trees and significantly lessen their numbers: beavers. It is important to point out that beavers used to be quite abundant in this area. There were hundreds, even thousands of these creatures in the Twisp, Methau, and other rivers. However, when European settlers came, they hunted every single one of these buck-toothed animals in their pursuit of profit. The outcome? Nearly all beavers disappeared from Washington state. In 2007, the Methau Beaver Project began, aiming to bring back the beaver population that had disappeared from the Methau River. Following the fire in 2015, 3 pairs of beavers were introduced into the Black Canyon Creeks along the Methau River. After a while, researchers came back and discovered that the beavers had managed to survive the winter and had constructed 1 or 2 dams. Eventually, it became clear that there were already 7 or more dams at each location being observed. It's clear that the landscape restoration initiative is going well. Beavers construct their dams to form ponds where they can seek shelter from predators. This setup is ideal for restoring land. Here's how it functions. The dams obstruct the river, resulting in a pond forming behind them. One could say that the dam causes the water to spill over. What does this imply? Floodplain forests and wetlands are regaining the water they lost long ago because of human actions. After wildfires, beavers act like a boost for nature's recovery, as the wetlands and floodplain forests they build attract a wide variety of wildlife. Eventually, the scientists found themselves in a place that had been burned not long ago. They observed the dams, which had many large, deep ponds behind them. Surrounding the dams, the ground was filled with wetland and riverside plants, including young aspen trees. The rejuvenated landscape was evidently appealing to deer, moose, elk, and various other creatures, as they are drawn to wetlands. Sadly for the beavers, they are slow and hefty, making them prime targets for coyotes, cougars, and bears. This also boosts biodiversity, although not in a very favorable manner for nature's expert builders. It has also been discovered that only a small number of beavers can bring an area back to life, even after it has been entirely devastated by fire. Overall, it can be stated that researchers were definitely right when they referred to beavers as a keystone species. The advantages they provide are significant and go beyond just restoring land. What are your thoughts on the notion that beavers can help protect regions from wildfires and even combat the droughts affecting many places around the globe, including the United States? Since 2008, over 300 beavers have been introduced into the upper streams of the Methau River. This initiative involves a partnership between the U.S. Forest Service, the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, and the Upper Columbia Salmon Recovery Board. According to the project participants, 1 beaver dam can form a pond that contains 1 million gallons of water. Now think about how many of these ponds 300 beavers could generate. You don't need to use your imagination. The people involved in the project have carefully examined the region. They discovered that the beavers they released made 176 ponds. The ponds vary in size. Some are big while others are small. The biologists involved in the project examined 62 beaver-created ponds and found that they contain nearly 5 million gallons of water. For context, this amount of water could provide an average home with drinking water for 5 years. Doesn't sound that remarkable? The same scientists estimated that annually, all the dams built by the beavers in the project hold back 65 million gallons of water. That amount can provide a regular home with enough water for 24 years. There is a different research project known as Beaver Pond Storage, where the water levels in 12 beaver habitats, around 29 ponds, in the Columbia River Basin were assessed. It was discovered that each of these ponds also holds a significant amount of water underground, totaling 6,600,000 gallons. How can all of this assist in combating the drought that concerns many? It is similar to the traditional dams constructed by people. The ponds formed by beavers store water that people can utilize for drinking when the river's flow slows down. Furthermore, the natural water-holding system built by beavers gradually lets out cold, clean water downstream during hot summer months. In contrast, water sources that have not been restored by beavers frequently dry out and offer no water at all. How can beavers assist in battling fires such as the one near the Twisp River in 2015? They do this by constructing ponds. While it seems straightforward, water typically does not catch fire, making the pond a type of barrier against flames. The fire cannot move beyond a beaver dam. The Methau Beaver Project validated this information. Since the wildfire-impacted regions where beavers were released prior to 2015, the flames reached the ponds they built. After examining the project area after the fire, researchers observed several ponds with only one side charred. On the other side, the plants remained unharmed by the fire. A dam created by beavers also acts as a water supply for firefighters. The researchers from the Methau Beaver Project even proudly mentioned that one of the ponds was used for this reason. Beaver ponds not only capture sediment, but also lessen the effects of mud flows and serve as water reservoirs that help prevent flooding. Beavers truly merit more appreciation since these natural architects are remarkable saviors who can restore rivers and streams to their natural, healthier condition. And just when you believe all the advantages of beavers have been covered, here comes the role of salmon. That's right, beavers play a part in that as well. The salmon is a fish that has a complex life cycle. It is born in freshwater, matures in streams, and then migrates downstream to estuaries, where it increases in size to be able to survive in the ocean. After a fulfilling life in the sea filled with food, the salmon begins a challenging journey back to freshwater lakes in the higher parts of rivers, where it spawns and eventually dies. Washington State is a haven for 7 types of salmon. It provides all the essentials they need to flourish: numerous small streams, access to the ocean, and so much more. The population of Washington State increased by 63% from 1990 to 2020, and it is expected to surpass 9 million by 2040. This means the state could be like having an extra Seattle in the next 20 years. As the population increases, the demand for additional land and water for homes, jobs, and leisure activities also rises. This has already resulted in the destruction of salmon habitats, and more harm is expected in the future. A clear example is Puget Sound, which has over time diminished its function as a salmon habitat along 1/3 of its extensive shoreline. Structures like dams and other buildings have been reinforced to safeguard homes and infrastructure. However, these protective developments are altering the environment for salmon and the fish that they rely on for food. The reinforcement stops waves from wearing down the cliffs that form beaches, where salmon can hunt for insects and other fish to eat. As previously stated, floodplains are heavily affected by human actions. For instance, various reports indicate that between 50 and 90% of the land near rivers in Washington has either been lost or drastically changed due to human interference. These are regions filled with dense plants that offer shade, maintain cool water temperatures, cleanse polluted water, support trees with roots that stabilize the banks, and offer shelter for fish. Floodplains serve as a refuge and a food supply for young salmon. Changing or entirely removing these areas poses a significant threat to this valuable fish. Certainly, addressing all these issues calls for a thorough strategy, and that is precisely what the state is currently undertaking, actively striving to restore and safeguard salmon habitats. Beavers may also play a beneficial role in this effort. In Washington state, there is an initiative known as the Tulalip Beaver Project. Since the year 2014, over 200 beavers have been released as part of this initiative. The primary aim of this project is to increase the dwindling salmon population. The beavers created many ponds, which turned out to be great spots for young salmon to thrive. The water in these ponds is cool, just what these fish need. Additionally, the ponds are filled with plants that offer shade and many insects that serve as food. Essentially, the pond is an excellent short-term home for fish that face challenging journeys ahead. This project did not assess the increase in fish population following the arrival of the beavers. The team states that they lack the resources for that type of measurement. Instead, the biologists track factors that are simpler to gather data on, such as water temperature and the quantity and size of new ponds. A crucial sign is an improved environment, as a healthier environment leads to more salmon. If that doesn't persuade someone, the biologists add, "We've observed areas completely change into large beaver complexes with about 12 to 13 dams and ponds everywhere. Now, these ponds are filled with countless salmon fry. These beaver reintroduction efforts not only aid in restoring rivers, but also foster habitats for various species, such as salmon. Additionally, they protect the beavers, providing them with two choices: face death or live safely as part of a restoration initiative." The issue is that beavers are still not seen as helpful creatures in many areas. They chew on trees and create their own waterways. Farmers, for instance, are not pleased with this activity. As a result, these skilled builders of nature are often just eliminated. Thanks to initiatives such as the Methow Beaver Project, things have changed now. Instead of grabbing a firearm, people in Washington state can just reach out to an organization, wait for a team to show up, and observe as the issues are removed to a place in the forest. Changing them as part of a project is naturally not feasible. Beavers will forever enjoy gnawing on trees. Nevertheless, channeling this instinct in a positive and helpful way is the best result for both the beavers and us humans. We hope you liked the video. If you'd like to see more videos we've created, just click on one of them on the screen or head over to our channel. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.